Yeah, hi everyone, this is Nehmi. So yesterday we looked into the configuration part where we saw how to create the ORS basically. So we have to go to a particular location and there we have to run two commands basically. One is create underscore ORS and the second was import underscore ORS. So create underscore ORS basically creates a schema basically with some privileges, and import underscore ORS will import all the other tables and things which are required for functioning of the MDM. So once we run both the commands, then we can come to MDM and register the ORS. So yesterday we had created this ORS as test1 underscore ORS, and after that registering this ORS we created a user. For that we went to the users, and this is the user. We have created this user as test1 and assigned default database to this user. So whenever this user logs in, he will be able to see only this ORS, which is the default database. And if we want to make anyone as administrator, we can make it as administrator. So as of now, everyone is an administrator. So if you come here and you will see everyone is an administrator itself, but still probably you might not be able to see all the ORSs. There are a lot of other ORSs which are present. So if you want to see, for example, I want to see all the other ORSs as well. In this case, you can select master hub database. So this option is there, MDM hub master database. If you select this, then you will be able to see all the ORSs instead of a single ORS. So as of now, because it is selected as just test underscore ORS, so that is why whenever this user logs in, he will only see only one ORS. So like this it is configured for everyone as of now. So that is the reason you are seeing only one. So once the user is created and the default ORS is assigned, if we are an admin user, then it is fine, means we will be able to see all the tools. But if we are not an admin user, we need to provide tools access to the user. So usually no one will be an admin user as such, except the developers probably and the analyst. So we have to come here and we need to provide the tools access only for the required persons. So we have to come here, select a particular user, and on the down we will have all the available workbenches. And this arrow button is basically add tool and remove tool. Using this we can add any tool on the right hand side, or we can remove anything. We had added this model and security access manager, and from the model workbench we have removed these hierarchies. So usually only for the developers we will be giving access, otherwise anyone else who wants to use IDD, we have to create all the users here itself in MDM. So all the business users who will be using IDD application, for them also I have to come and create their user ID and password here itself. But I will not give any tools access to them, so that even by mistake they log into MDM console, they won't see anything. They will just see a blank screen. So these things we had discussed yesterday. Today we will look into this repository manager. So repository manager, you must have done this, means use this repository manager as a part of module 2 lab 2, where it asks to import an XML file. So in the previous version we had till 9.5.1 version we had metadata manager. So from 9.7.1 the name is changed to repository manager here. So it is having these tabs. The first is the validate tab. If you click on the drop down, we can see all the ORSs which are there. So if you see a question mark here, this means that the ORS is in invalid state. invalid in the sense like I have made certain changes in the ORS and I have not validated it. So validation is basically done to sync up the MDM metadata and the database in the backend, just to ensure that both of them are in sync. So yesterday, like, we created this ORS. If I go and on the right hand side, this is the validate button, the first one. So if I click on this, it will give me an option to validate the ORS. So we don't have to change anything here. We can just click on the OK button. So this is just comparing the MDM metadata and the database in the backend, and if there are any issues, it will report. So as of now, like, if you go and try to validate your ORS, you will see some warning messages. Here there will be no warning because we have just created this yesterday and it doesn't have any objects. So like this we have validated now. So you can see there is a tick mark coming up, and these are the things: fatal errors, warnings, and information. 4 options are there. So warnings and information we can ignore, but if there are any errors or fatal errors, we need to resolve them. So warnings for you, like, as of now, warning will be coming because there are some extra tables starting from Z underscore. Some 7 to 8 tables are there. So it will just tell you that there are some tables in the database which is not present in the metadata. So on the right hand side, if you see, there is this option is there. Let me highlight it. So this option we have repair button on the right hand side. So if you click on a particular table and use this repair button, in the warning it will delete that table from the backend because that table is not present in the MDM metadata, so it will try to remove it using this repair button. Now next is like errors, when error might come. So just tell some one scenario, like for example, we can say like jobs. Whenever we run any job like stage job or load job, MDM basically what it does is it will delete the indexes and then it will try to load the data, and after that it recreates the indexes. So suppose like we have run the job, for example a load job, and MDM has dropped the indexes and now it is trying to load the data, but in middle some like application server crashed, so the job was not able to complete. So once we restart the server and come back here and try to validate it, it will throw an error message. It will give that the index is present in the MDM, but it is not present in the backend database. So we don't have to go and manually create it. Just we have to click on this error message and just need to click on this repair button. It will repair that. So that's basically error and warning message, and probably like we don't need to validate this every time. The ORS basically, especially the production environments, usually they are not validated unless like we are doing any changes or we are promoting any changes to the production environments. The second reason why we have to validate is when if I have to take an export of the ORS. So if I want to do an import or if I want to do a export, I need to validate the ORS. If the ORS is in valid state, so this tick mark is like it is completely valid, there is no issue. This option that we have is basically a warning message. So as of now, I don't have extra table, so it is not showing that. It is just showing to validate the ORS. So that's basically a warning message, and this is an invalid state. Question mark is an invalid state, and if there is any error it will just show a cross symbol. So these 4 types of options we will get here, using which you can identify if there is any issue or warning message. So next, like, is the export option. So whatever, for example, this ORS, for example, tr underscore lab will take this ORS and I want to export this ORS. So export is basically an XML file which will get exported, and this is like all the metadata changes, whatever configuration changes we have done from the MDM side, creating of like base object, staging table, landing table, mappings, or whatever configuration we have done, everything will be captured in this XML file, which we can use to promote into the other environments. So here we just need to select this OS and then click on the save button, and then we can save it on the desktop. So this is exporting the complete metadata. We can even go and see this, open this XML file, we can understand basically, and if there are some changes required, we can even make some changes. So that we will see like later, why the changes are required and what type of change we can make in this table basically, or XML file. So here we can see like all the landing table, staging table, everything is there with the data type and all the details. That's a very big XML file which will get generated here. So now I can use this XML file to promote it into the other environments. So now I can take this XML file and I can promote in any other environments like the testing environment. So as of now, like for importing, we have 2 options basically. One is the import option and one is the promote option. So we don't usually use the promote option. We don't use the import option because import we can use only for the first time. First time in the sense when your ORS is empty, there is nothing created in the ORS. Even if you have created a base object or a landing table, staging table, or anything, you will not be able to use this import. So that is the reason we generally don't use this import. We use the promote option. So promote can be used for both the purpose, for first time promotion also and for incremental promotions also. In both the scenarios we can use this option. So now like we will have an XML file and we will use this XML file to promote in the new ORS that we have created just now. But before going and promoting this, I will have to make one change here. That is because the ORS is HM enabled. So hierarchy manager is enabled in my ORS. Just verify it once. Yeah. So basically hierarchy manager is enabled in my trn underscore lab. So that we will be discussing when we go to the hierarchy. So here we can see these are the hierarchy tables, which we say as RBO tables. So these are enabled in my trn lab, for which I have taken export. So I can go and import only in those ORS where HM is enabled. So that is basically mandatory. So I will have to enable the HM. I can go and import it. So basically to enable the HM or hierarchies in MDM, we have to come here to the hierarchies. And when we click on OK, it will just say that hierarchy manager base object does not exist. Would you like to create them? So as of now, like in your case, hierarchy manager is not enabled, so there is no issue. If even if you try to promote it in some other ORS, new ORS, it should be fine. But because I have HM enabled in my ORS, the source ORS, so my target ORS also has to be HM enabled. So now if we see something like this, the HM is enabled, and similarly there are some couple of tables which gets created for HM. So this we'll discuss later about the HM. So now again, because I have made some changes in my ORS, if I go to the repository manager, I will see that it is in invalid state again. You can see the question mark is coming here again. So I will have to validate it again. If I don't validate it, I will not be able to like do any import or export of this ORS. Okay, so now it is validated again, and now we can go to the promote. In the promote, we have two options basically. One is called as a visual, and the second is change list. So visual is basically for selective promotion, where we can say that I have created two base objects, but I want to promote only one base object into the other environment because only that thing I have tested. And change list is basically full promotion. Whatever differences are there between both the ORSs, everything will get promoted. So first we'll see this change list. We will import everything and then we'll come back, do some deletion, and then try to import it back again. So in the promote change list, I have to select my ORS. So this is the ORS test1_ORS, and then on the right hand side we have the first option, create a new change list by comparing two repositories. So it is saying that we have to compare two repositories and change list basically, which is an incremental change list between two repositories. So if I click on this, I can see the TRN lab here itself. See, because this is my development environment, so I can see all the ORSs here itself. But suppose like I am using a different IP, so if I have to promote, if I have to take this export of TRN lab and import into the different server basically, like 197 the IP that you are using, in that case I will not be able to see this, because usually the development environment, testing environment, and the production environments are completely different. So I cannot see them. So here, because everything is at the same place, TRN lab and as well as test1_ORS, so even I can select database repository here. But I will not select the database, I will go to the file repository and I will browse and select my XML file. So this is the XML file that is created. So this is basically the change list here, which is the incremental change list. So basically it has compared the XML file against this ORS. So whatever are the differences between them, everything is visible here. So basically XML is my master. Whatever are there in my XML, the same thing will get exported here in my ORS. If there is something in your ORS which is not in your XML, that will get deleted, because XML we are treating as a final. So whatever is there in XML, same has to be there in this ORS also. If, for example, if I go and try to create a table here, base object, and then do an import here, it will drop that table. So once this basically XML file is created, then incremental, we usually save this file, because there are a lot of other environments in which we have to send this file. Some places where we have access, we can go and do it itself, but somewhere where we don't have access, usually in big companies, like we have a deployment team that takes care of the deployments. So we will have to send this, save this as an XML file. So the third option is basically save option. Using save, I can say like incremental one and save this as an XML file. So this XML file is saved. Now I can just send this XML file to the other environments and just give them the steps that you have to come to change list and what are the things you have to do. So they will be doing the promotion activities. So anyone who gets this XML file, what he has to do? He has to use the second option, which is load a change list from a file. The first option was creating a change list. Now our change list is already created and it is ready. So now we have to use the second option, which is load a change list from a file. So I can select here incremental one and open. So it will show me the same thing. So after loading here, we have two options here. The first play button which we have is basically run a simulation of the change list. So before going and executing this XML file, we can just run this simulation, which will basically just try to check that if I actually execute this, whether there will be any errors or not. Because if I click on the next button, which is the apply button, apply changes, it will start creating all the objects. And if there are any errors, it will do a full rollback. So instead of that, we can just use this option to ensure that there are no errors during promotion. And when it shows that everything is fine, then you can go and apply the changes. So now here all the changes has been promoted into the target ORS, which is the test one. So now if we go and check this ORS, test1 underscore ORS, we'll see that everything, all the tables and other components are imported here. Where do we import? Oh, sorry. We had just run the simulation. So simulation has told that it is fine. So we have to click on the apply changes. So that was the simulation basically. Now we have to use this other option, which is apply changes. So when we click on the apply changes, it will say that full rollback or rollback to last change. So we will always be doing this full rollback. Now this has created, will start creating all the things. Last time it just validated it and told that there should not be any issue when we actually load this XML file into the target ORS. So now basically it is started adding. So like this, basically we can promote the changes from one environment to other environment using this promote option. So promote and change list basically will promote all the differences. So for example, if you have done any changes in your development environment, like you might have created a base object, landing table, staging table, mappings or packages. In this case, if you use this change list option, everything will get imported. So it doesn't give an option here that no, I just want to promote the base object now. I don't want to promote like my mappings or my packages as of now. So that flexibility is not here. That flexibility is there in the first tab, which is visual. In the visual, we can compare side by side and we can see that what are the differences, and based on that we can promote the changes into the other environments. So next we will see that how to use the visual. Once this is done, like what we will do, we'll go and remove some tables. So now like all the changes are promoted into the ORS, and now if I go to this test1_ORS, I should be able to see all the metadata present here. So here you can see all the configuration changes has come back. So this is just promoting the metadata, not the data. So we are just promoting all the metadata changes from one ORS to other ORS. So now like what we can do is we can delete some data here, or not the data, sorry, metadata. For example, this base object test_BO. And one more thing, probably not sure I have told you here. When you do a right click, you have two options here. One is remove, one is impact analysis. So usually both we can use. Impact analysis, as the name suggests, that it is just for checking that if you delete this, what will happen, or what are the objects related with it. But if you see on the down, there is a note. If confirmed, all the objects marked in red will be removed from the schema. So that is basically a problem here, that sometimes many people do this. They will do a right click to check like what is the impact analysis, and then they will click on the OK button, which will delete all the components here. So as of now it is fine because we want to delete it, so I will press on the OK button. So just take care of that, because even I have deleted like that once, but that was in the development environment only, but all the data was lost because of that. So we had to reload everything, a lot of changes were there. So we have deleted like one table, base object table. Similarly, we can delete some other things also.
So this import will bring only this import will bring metadata and data also, or only metadata?
No, only the metadata. So we are just promoting the metadata changes. So that is why I was saying we have an issue here, because when we try to check the impact analysis, we think that it will just tell us that what is the impact if I delete it, or what are the components related to it. Those things can be checked using an impact analysis. So if I click on this, I know that like for subcategory table, these are the things which are related. You can see like there are some queries, so many queries are associated, base object, column, relationship. So many things are related, so many packages are there. So in case you want to check like with this base object, how many things or what all things are related, you can do an impact analysis. But after doing that, just click on the cancel button, because if you delete on OK, everything will get removed. So similarly, like there is one more table like CLDJ sales customer. If I try to delete this landing table, then two mappings will also get deleted from here. So that is fine, we will delete it. So that is why one more important thing is like every time you have made some changes to your ORS, it's always good to keep a backup of your ORS. Means backup in the sense take an export and keep it, because by mistake if we delete it or someone else comes and delete it or makes any changes, at least I have an option to revert back the changes. So now we have deleted couple of tables here. So now I can go back to the repository manager. So because there are some changes in my ORS, so I will have to validate my ORS again. So if I click on my ORS, it will show validate the change list. Okay, so everything is promoted here and we have validated the ORS. Now we will go to the promote, and in the promote we will go to the visual now, so that we can set parallelly compare both the ORSs. So in this again I have to select the source and the target. So source will be my XML file. So if I click on this, I have to go and select the file repository and then the XML file. So here we have to select the full XML file, not the incremental one. The full export that we have taken, we need to select this. And in the target, we will select our target ORS, that is test1_ORS. So now it is like comparing both the things, source and the target, and it will just show what are the differences between both of them. So if you see like this picture on the top, this means that there are some differences in the data or in the metadata basically. So if you expand it, you will get to know what is the exact difference. So on the left hand side, we have C_test_bo, which we have dropped just now. So I can see that it is present on the left hand side, but it is not present on the right hand side. So if something is like that, it shows green color. And if something is present on the right hand side, but there are differences in the data type, for example, we have increased the length of a column. So the column is present, but the data type is changed. In those cases, we will see this picture here. Basically, this symbol will come here. So we have one base object. Similarly, we have landing tables. One landing table that we removed, and then we have two mappings which we removed. So now you can consider like it is removed, or suppose you can say that whatever is on the left hand side, that is my development environment, where I have developed this C_test_bo, one landing table and two mappings, and I want to promote this into my test environment. So now like here we can do a selective promotion. I can go here and I can say do a right click here and click on promote. So if I click on promote, it gives me these options: manually merge the conflict, use source as the final result for conflict, or use target as final result for conflict. So we will always be using this option, use source as the final result for conflict, because we know that whatever changes we are promoting from left hand side to right hand side is the correct one. So now if I click on OK, this will be promoted on the right hand side. So now here you can see there is no difference coming. C_test_bo is on the left hand side, C_test_bo is on the right hand side also. But as of now, this has not been promoted. This has just moved on the right hand side. It is basically in the cache. It is not updated yet in my ORS. So like this I can compare side by side, and I know that what are the changes I have to promote, because if like we are working on multiple things and suppose we have tested only one base object or some functionality of that, I will just promote that part. not the other things which we have not tested. So this can be done using this visual. So I will not promote it yet. I have an option here. If you see, there is an apply button. If I click on this apply, then this C test BO will get created in my test1 underscore ORS. But here I will not do it. I will again save it. I will just say as incremental 2. And now again I will go back to the change list, and here also I will compare. This will give me all the differences. So this I am doing just to show both the differences between importing a single change or importing all the changes. So in this case again I have to use the first option, where I want to compare two repositories and find the differences between them. So again I will select the XML file, the full XML file. So this will show me all the differences, like one base object. So here you can see one landing table, one base object, and two mappings. So these are the two mappings. So here it is showing me all the differences. So if I have to promote all the differences, I will just come to the change list and use this option, and again save this file. This we can say incremental 3. So all the incremental changes are saved. So if you have to promote it into your environment, you can, what we have to do, we have to use the second option, which is load a change list from a file. Load a change list is basically to load an incremental change list. So I can select the second one, which is having only one base object. So here you can see add a base object ctestBO and adding the columns. So if I have to promote this one, I can use this, or if I have to promote the other one, third one, I can select this one and I can promote this one. So like this, basically we compare the two repositories, like development and the test environment. We will save this XML file and then we will apply these changes, because we have to send this XML file to other environments also. So that is the reason why we'll save it and then we will apply, because once we apply it, then we cannot compare again. So that's why it's first compare them, save this as an XML file, and then try to promote the changes. So now I can again click on this simulation just to ensure that there are no errors. So there is no error if I apply this, and then I can go and click on this apply changes, where I will have to select again the full rollback option. So again this landing table, base object, and the two mappings will get created in my ORS. So this we can use in both the cases. If something is deleted from our ORS, I can restore it back. Or if I have to promote from development environment to test environment or any other ORSs, I can do it like this. Similarly, one more thing that we can usually do is changing the physical names. See, like for example, if I go to this landing table, so I have created this landing table like CLDJ sales customer, and after creating this, I have created the mappings also. So if I do an impact analysis here, I can know that this landing table is basically associated with two mappings. So if I go and delete this landing table, two mappings will get dropped. And I'm just saying that scenario, suppose like we had to give the naming convention as C underscore L underscore sales underscore customer, and we gave as C LDJ sales customer. So the physical name we gave wrong by mistake, but we identified it later that I have given the wrong name here of the base object or the landing table. So as you know that you cannot go and modify the base object name or the landing table name or even the staging table name once it is created. So you will have to drop and recreate it. So that is a problem because you might have done a lot of configuration changes in your mappings or transformations. A lot of transformations might have been done. So you don't want to drop and recreate it again from fresh. So for that what we can do is we can make the changes in the XML file. So now like we will do that. So see XML file, what we will do is we will search for CLDJ sales customer and we will replace it with CL sales customer in my XML file. So what it will do is it will still drop your table. It will drop your this table. It will drop both the mappings, but it will recreate also again with the different name. So you don't have to do it manually basically. So that's the only advantage, because if you delete your landing table, both the mappings will also be dropped. So you'll have to create your landing table, then go and create the mappings and do all the transformations. So that will be taken care by the XML file, because in the XML file only we are changing the name from CLDJ to CL. So it will take care of all the things. It will drop whatever is present and it will recreate it back again with a different name. So we'll do for this. Similarly, if you have some columns, you want to change the column names or you want to change the column data type, you can do everything from this XML file. So we'll search for this CLDJ sales customer in the XML file. So this is the XML file we have. So we'll search for this and replace it with CL sales customer. So as of now I will just do a replace all, but you can just, when you are replacing, just check that everything is getting replaced properly or not. So basically there were 18 occurrences, all the 18 occurrences have been replaced. And similarly, one more thing sometimes we have to do is the display name, because the order of deletion sometimes is different. So it might try to create the objects first and then delete it. So the display name will be same. So sometimes we have to change this display name. I'll just search for the display name LDJ sales customer and replace it with like 1, 2, 3, because display names we can change at a later point of time also. So only one occurrence was there for the display name and it was replaced. So now again we will go back to the repository manager and try to import this XML file. So this is like how you can make the changes to any particular physical name of a particular table or a column. So again I will select test1 underscore ORS and again I will go browse and select the XML file. So this is again the full XML file I am selecting, which we had exported and where we have now made the changes to the landing table physical name. So now if you look into these changes, you can see add the landing table CL sales customer, and it is also deleting. So first it is deleting the mappings, 2 mappings are deleted and 1 landing table is deleted, and it is also adding the landing table and two mappings. So internally it is deleting, but even it will recreate it with a different name. So that is what we want. We don't want to do everything again. So using this XML file, I can do that. So again, we can use this simulation to ensure that there are no errors. So there are no errors. So now again, we can go and click on this apply changes. So if you have a landing table where there is data, all the data will get lost. So that is fine, because that's we have done in the development environment itself, so that we can always restore it back. So now the changes are applied. So if I go back to the ORS, I will see the changed name there. So here you can see the display name. Display name is changed to LTJ sales customer 123, and even the physical name is changed now. So I can just come here and change the display name again back to LTJ sales customer and save it. So this is how, like, I have made a change to a physical name of a table. Similarly, if you have, like, while creating the columns, you have done any changes to the column name, or the column name is wrong, physical name is wrong of the column, we can use this process and we can make the changes in XML file and re-import it back again. So from here, like, we should be clear about these things. What first is, like, what is the difference between promote and import? So import can be used, this option where I have to select the source and target. Import can only be used for the first time. We cannot use for an incremental load. Whereas promote can be used for both the purpose, even the fresh load or incremental load of the metadata changes can be done using promote. And in promote we have two options. One is visual and the second is change list. Visual is basically for selective promotion, and change list is basically for full promotion. Whatever changes are there, everything will get promoted in your target. So that your target will be equal to your XML file. Whatever is there in your XML file, that will be your final thing. And the last option here is export and import from CWM file. This option is generally not used, but just for interview perspective, someone might ask, and, like, one question that they might ask is, like, if you have some 100 tables or 200 base objects that you have to create, will you go and create all the base objects in MDM? The questions might be like that. So we can say that we have an option. So first let me export this. So export to CWM file is there, where if we select a particular ORS, I can see the base objects, landing table, packages. These are the three things. So I will just export a single base object here. For example, customer base object, and save this file. You can just say CWM. So this is the CWM file, and here basically we have a NetBeans XML writer is there. So basically this we can say that if we can understand this file, like what is this file, how it is getting created. So this is just for creation of a single base object. So if we can understand this file, that how this file is created, and we can create this file, then I can directly import this into the MDM. So we don't have to go to the MDM also and create a base object. Like as I told that you cannot import any table into the base object into the MDM directly. So we have to go and create the base objects, then we can import the columns. But if you can create this XML file, then you can directly import this and all the base objects will get created in MDM basically. So that is just for the interview perspective. In case someone asks, you can say yes, there is an option of CWM file which is there. But if someone asks you, you can say that no, we haven't used this option. And the process, you can say that what is the process that we have followed is you have first created the base object. So usually, like we can say, for example, if we have a customer table which has suppose 100 columns are there, usually it will not be those many columns, but just for example, that if your customer column is 100 column, a customer base object is having 100 columns. So first what we will do is we have a design document with us where all the column names, all the data types are already there. So we'll take that and create a temporary table in the Oracle that you can try basically. So already like you have like many tables starting with ZZ underscore. So it's just a similar way. We will have the model with us that for a particular base object, these are the table names. So these are the column names and these are the data types. So using that, I can go to the backend Oracle and I can create a temporary table. Then I can come to the MDM, create the base object, customer base object, and then import all the 100 columns directly. So that also doesn't take much time. And usually we don't have so many tables that we have to go for that. 100 or 200 tables that we have to go for this PWM file. So in case someone asks, you can say that yes, there is an option, but we have followed this process. Means created a temporary table in the backend, came to MDM, created a base object or a landing table, and imported all the columns from the temporary table.
Vinay?
Yes.
So maybe I didn't get it here. How is it different than if you just create the base table and import all the columns from the table? I think that's what we did.
Yeah, correct. So in this case, if I am using this CWM file, I don't need to create a base object also. So this
the base object is just the name. It's basically like just the name you created.
Yeah, just the name only. So this we will put in this XML file. Like in this XML file, I have put the name is C_customer. So we can create this XML file and we can directly import it back into the MDM. So this will create your base object as well as all the columns.
Right, but you have to create this XML file for that.
Yeah, that is the that's basically a problem. Understanding and creating this XML file is a problem.
For me, to create the table, create the XML file is about the same amount of work.
Well, that is basically easy. Easy in the sense like we have already the model, so we can create all the temporary tables in the backend, and we can just import all the columns. So that also doesn't take much time as such.
Okay.
But this, for interview perspective, sometimes, as I told, people can ask like if you have 100 or 200 tables. Usually in MDM we don't have those many tables, but just as a question they might ask.
Yes.
So at least we can say that yes, we have an option and we can use it.
Well, the option will be to create 100 or 200 XMLs.
Yeah.
Right. Basically,
so this
that's the
XML file we have. Yes, correct.
Okay, but then
not 100 XML file. Probably this XML file only we can create for all the base objects, landing table, and packages. 3 things we can import using this CWM file.
Ah, okay. So it's going to be one XML, but it will have multiple tables in it.
Yes. Yeah, multiple tables. So
Base.
this is like, yeah, correct.
Okay. Okay. If there's any other use for that, can you just
no.
download it into this XML? I mean, Do you
Means
can you
even I'm not saying I
export
haven't
your base
I say
objects
that.
into that?
Sorry.
Can you store this metadata this way, just for your own
Yeah.
purpose?
Yes. Yes. We can means once this XML file is created, we can import in MDM, so it will again create all the metadata basically. Metadata will get imported. So if I like just use this CWM file, for example, C customer, and if I go back to my ORS, and suppose I am just deleting this table C and customer. So there are some errors which have come up based on message trigger. So I will show you this option tomorrow. The CWM file, like once we create for any base object, we can import it back here in our ORS.
Yeah, I have one question about the various environments. So
Yeah.
normally we have development environment, test environment, and you can have like multiple environments. And
Yes.
usually, like in when you work in Informatica Power Center, so each environment is in a separate repository and on a separate server, right?
Yeah. Correct.
But here it looks like it's all on the same server. Is it in one repository? That's how it
No,
works?
no. Here also it's on the different, because this is like I'm using on, I have just one environment here as of now, so that's why I have just imported in the same environment. I have two ORSs, so I just imported from one to another. But
Okay.
usually it will be different. The development will be completely different, testing will be different, and production will be completely different.
Okay, but will they appear in the same interface or
No, no, no. It will be different. It will be different.
separate?
Like for example, yeah, it will be separate. Like for example, you are using 192.168.1.97, but I am using a different IP. That because that's my local. So the IPs are different. That's why you were saying that here we have different set of ORSs. But if you click go to 97, you will see different ORSs. So that is what we have to do. We have to, if I want to promote this ORS, I will take an export as an XML file. I will go to 97, and I can import it there.
Oh, okay. So the normal export process will be promotional process will be to
Using an
export in XML and use the XML to import.
promote, go to the other environments like the testing environment and production environment and promote the changes.
Okay, and we do promote in this case, right?
Yeah, we will always use promote only. We don't use the import option.
Okay. And you said the import we're doing only the first time, meaning
Yes.
meaning what? Meaning that
Meaning that there is no object, no metadata created in your ORS.
okay.
Even if a single change you have done in your ORS, you will not be able to use the import feature.
Okay, so it's just okay, so it's completely empty, then we can import.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Vinay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Yes, see, yesterday, like I told that I will be sharing this installation guide, but still it is not ready. So give me some more time, 1 day or 2 days. In that time, I will upload it because the whatever guide I had that was of a previous version. So I'm just updating it. By tomorrow, I will be uploading it.
Okay, thank you. And you
Thanks.
also show us this another tool that you were using a couple days ago. I
Yeah,
forgot
yeah,
what.
sure. Yeah, those SOAP UI basically.
Right. So right,
Yeah,
right. If you can do the
yeah.
same thing, that would be
Yes,
great.
yes. I will do that. I will do that for.
Okay. Thank you, Vinay.
Yeah, thanks.